greet you all. This is Press Brief of Monday, the 5th of August 2024. We'll be back to give you what's the print sector in the nation and around the world are saying. Once more, you're heartily welcome back to the program for presentation. I am attending Larry Kevin Tabat. We start off with the Dawn newspaper for this morning. The Dawn newspaper for today reports on the illicit drug trafficking in Cameroon following the interception of 127 bags of imported illicit drugs that was intercepted in Limbe, supported by the paper of Trisha Oben for today. In that said publication, Indigenous Peoples Day, FACO Chiefs heightened preparation measure conference set for August 9, 2024. Away from that story, we move forward with Mahmoud Village in Fako Division, where His Majesty Mbola at the helm of that village, as he was recognized as chief by the kingmakers of Mahmoud Village in Fako Division. Away from that publication, we take you to the stipulation of the Prime Minister, Head of Government, Joseph Dion Guti, who reorganizes a presidential reconstruction plan for the Northwest and Southwest regions. Get to read that story on the bottom page story of that publication for today. We move on to Limbe with the son of Nobel Waso for this day, talks of reconstruction of Northwest Southwest regions. PM Dion Guti renders plan more efficient, participatory. You want to find more on that said paper for today. Crackdown on drug trafficking abuse. Security forces intercepts state vehicle transporting contraband in Limbe. We move on to this other story. Sensitization of AIDS in Cameroon. It says Chantal Biya dispatches 700 PS educators to the field, and Honorable Itombe Gladys fed 70th anniversary with family and friends. We move forward with the next publication for this day. The anecdote of Jean-Pierre Mogo Belinga reports on the memorandum from the chiefs and elites of the Grand Bam locality in Cameroon, where the paper titles that as the uneasiness that reign in the Bambuis. Get to read more on the Grand Bam locality, where the memorandum calls for a creation of a region known as the Grand Bam region by the people of that locality. We now take you to this district hospital in Bavia, where it has been announced of more collectives to be done for the better efficient work of healthcare provision by that said hospital in Bavia in the central region of the country. We move forward with the Women Advocates newspaper. Ladies News for this morning report on Marie Victoire Venus Platon. It talks of the revolution of excellence in academic in Cameroon. Get to read more on that said paper for today. And women who are doing great in their various fields. The paper reports of the pioneer batch of women doing innovation in Cameroon. You have the likes of Madeleine 20 of Minister of Research and Scientific Innovation, Nalova Lyonga of Secondary Education, Celestine Kecha Cortez of Housing and Urban Development, and we have Marie-Therese Abena Ondwa of Women's Empowerment and the Promotion of the Family, Gwendoline Abuno of Ecobang, and a host of other women who are trailblazer in the various field of works. Away from that story, we now take you to the Parliamentary Affairs newspaper, Echo du Parlement. Echo du Parlement for this morning reports on the locality of Tokomberi, that is the constituency of the Speaker of the National Assembly, Kavage Jibril. The paper reports of the population of Tokomberi says thank you to President Paul Biya. Get to read more on that action there by the Parliamentary Affairs newspaper of Echo du Parlement. From Echo du Parlement, we move forward with the paper of Stephen Ojong, the Median. The Median for this morning have as lead story, hero abroad, villain at home. Agbabala mounts the big stage in the United States of America as he was given a special award from the American Bar Association. Confirmed case cases in Central African Republic. Monkeypox scare hits east region of Cameroon. And in that said publication, the People's MP Konye Chiefs endorsed Honorable Ekole Peters for 2026 parliamentary elections, and saying truth to power. The paper report of Akaremuna tackles Modiki over Glencore corruption scandal. We move away from the media newspaper. We now move forward with the next publication, the Guardian Post. The Guardian Post of Christian Gaffer this morning report of Glencore scandal. SNH expresses readiness to expose accomplices. Get to read more on that said paper for today. In that said publication, the paper report on Sempa Knight, a media personality of Mantle Joe Kebonkem Kalabopse. You want to find more on that said publication of the Guardian Post for this morning. From the Guardian Post, we crossed over to this other paper from Yaoundé, Luju of Haman for this morning. Report on the Glencore affair. It says we want the names of those who took part in the corruption scandal in the Glencore saga. These are officials in the oil and gas sector in Cameroon. Get to read more on that advocacy done by Haman Mana on his paper of Luju. And the paper for this morning report on this Olympic Games unfolding in France. It says Linda Anugu get to read more on the Cameroonian athlete performance of last night. You want to find more on that said paper for today. We move forward with the Voice. The Voice of Randy Josa reports on as Glencore's gates further unravels. He says SNR shivers, Monas prevail. Get to read more on that paper for today. He went further to talk of the trial of named suspect begin in London Court of Westminster Abbey come September the 10th, 2024. Treasury Department wins award for efficient transparency management and a recognition. Felix Mbayu shines as community mobilizer and humanitarian figure. We move on to the fifth medicine in Africa. It says maybe fake research finds. Get to read details on that said publication for today. We now take you to the Horizon. The Horizon for this morning is reporting on the Jinyongombe saga. As the paper says, Jinyongombe passes police exam after being vocal on the Yaoundé regime. That is 42 years. Get to read more on that said paper for today. At Town Hall meeting in Tico, Southwest Public Independent Conciliator addresses worries of denizens. Get to read more on that said paper for today. Kumba City Council adopts additional budget to clear unpaid salaries. Get to read details on the bottom page story of the Horizon for this morning. From in the said Horizon, the paper report on United Nations Human Rights Chief is in Yaoundé today for a working session to evaluate on the human rights situation of Cameroon. You want to find more on the Horizon on that for today. We move forward with Le Question for today. Report of the Glencore corruption scandal. The paper report of Adolphe Modiki in a communique who says he will be complying with the different competent authorities when it comes to the names of those who took part in the corruption scandal in Glencore and SNH. You want to find more on that said paper for today. Presidential elections for September 7, 2024 in Algeria. The paper report of the different candidates who are going in for the Algerian top job of the presidency of the Republic. Get to read more on the profiles of the leading figures of that set Algerian presidential elections on the newspaper of Le Question for today. Away from that, we now move forward with the next publication for this morning. Municipal update report of after reconstruction. It says reconstruction plan official swings into action. Government rips CFA France 174.2 billion from oil and gas in 4 months. In that said paper, Felix Mbayu, rare honor for community strides. Get to read more on the paper of Victor Champ of Municipal Update for today. For Municipal Update, we now make a stop over with the Nigerian tabloid. We start off with Vanguard. Vanguard for this morning is reporting on protests. Tinubu's broadcast fell short of expectations. This is what political pundits and observers are reporting on yesterday's morning live broadcast of Nigerian President Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. We now take you to stop bloodshed. It talks of ex-ADC presidential candidate Konko Cho begs for protection. Get to read more on that set paper for today. And this day from Lagos reports on protests, some sacrifices needed to rescue the economy of Nigeria, says Bagudu. And in that said publication, NACCMA, non-payment of forex forwards pushing for companies into bankruptcy. Get a bit more on that said publication for today. Knock commendations trial Tinubu's broadcast over protest. And Daily News Hub for this morning says the hashtag end bad governance in Nigeria protesters shun Tinubu's play, re-strategize, mobilize to occupy Abuja city today. In that said publication of Daily News Hub for this morning says President's speech diversionary didn't address issues, according to the leading opposition party PDP, who speaks on that said paper for today. And we move forward with Tinubu slam for tune theft broadcast over nationwide protests as Nigerian takes to the streets today, the 6th day or the 5th day of that nationwide end bad governance protest. And Wabara asking Ndigbo to leave southwest Nigeria is like asking us to leave Nigeria. We move on to Daily Times, where tributes still continue pouring in for the demise on the veteran iconic journalist and actress and musician songwriter the late Onyeka Wendu, who passed on to glory. End bad governance protests, it says Shoyinka cancels security agents on handling of protests. Get to read more on that said publication for today. We move away from the Nigerian tabloids. We'll make a stop. We start now with the international tabloids. We start off with Daily Mirror. Daily Mirror from London says far right on rampage under siege. Get to read more on Daily Mirror for this morning. In that sense, Daily Mirror, Stanley Kelly who won a goal for Great Britain. In that set, from that publication, we move forward with the next paper, The Guardian. The Guardian reports on "You will regret this." Tama warns rioters. This is the British Prime Minister who took 10 Downing Street yesterday to address protesters who took to the streets of London and other UK cities regarding the anti-immigrant immigration policy. Get to read more on that said paper for today. Away from that, we'll be moving on to another international tabloid for this morning. I think we should be moving forward with the Times. The Times for this morning says riots in sectors face reckoning. That is what you can find on the Times newspaper for today. And new planning rules will lift barriers to onshore wind and solar. Get to read details on that publication for today. Metro for today reports on riot mobs wreak havoc across Great Britain. Shame on you. That is what you can find as the lead story on Metro for today. Away from Metro, we move forward with leadership from Lagos. Leadership reports on 29 federal lawmakers who died in 9 years. It talks of protesters to Tinubu as your speech failed to address our demand. That is the lead story you can find on the end bad governance in Nigeria protests. Northerners architect of own problems. Get to read more on Shehu Sani, who makes details on his pronouncement. And former military Nigerian president Ibrahim Babangida disowned X account for endorsing military takeover in Nigeria. Get to read details on that paper for today. With leadership newspaper from Abuja. This is where we draw the curtains of this first phase of the program. But we'll be here in a jiffy for the second part of the program with our reviewer who is here with us. Once again, you're heartily welcome back to the program. If you are just joining us, you are on to the second phase of the program, and our reviewer for this morning is Chair Buzi. Good morning to you, Chair, and heartily welcome on this Monday slot.
Good morning, Larry. Good morning to all the viewers of High Television. It's a pleasure once more to be here.
Right on. We start off with the dawn for this morning. The dawn for this day sees 127 bags of imported illicit drugs intercepted in Limbe.
First of all, I should start by congratulating the bravery and honesty, at least this time, of the forces of law and order to have intercepted this huge amount of illicit drugs. Now, I think this just comes few days after the Minister of Territorial Administration supervised the burning of about 60 bags
of cannabis.
This time was cannabis, Indian hemp, in the capital city of Yaoundé. It seems to me the forces of law and order are alert today more than they've been before to ensure that such movements are being tracked down. Well, it's beautiful to behold that we can have all of these black economy, to call it that way, being reviewed. Now, it has well thought-provoking today, because all this brings in other issues which are concerning. Now, with this amount of drugs, these are the drugs which end up being sold at the roadsides by people who may not have basic training or formation in medical practice, and which to an extent it leads to other health complications because they give prescriptions to people who without diagnosing them of the problem and all of that. So I think it's a major health concern to have these drugs in high circulation. We have issues like antimicrobial resistance and all the likes, which people do self-medication a lot these days, and it is from these kind of drugs which are made available out of the pharmacies which cause all of this. Now, that's the first part. The second part, looking at this huge consignment which has been seized, one will quickly think about the fact that perhaps these drugs are cheap, especially from Nigeria. You know the rates at which Nigeria sells things today. They are quite affordable. They are cheap. They are moderate, and with
the current rates of inflation over there in the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
So with medical care, in quotes, or medicine, cheap, which is coming in, right, and which is cheap coming in, which may be more expensive than the ones which may have gone through the port because of the taxes and all of that. So people may want to buy these medications even without checking where they are from, their expire, all of that, because the prices will be moderate and will be good to go. But I think that more vigilance has to be stepped up, because this is just one of the many which ply that road. And I don't know how this was caught this time, because I think basically a lot of that goes on. And so I would just say the forces of law and order should redouble vigilance, and as well the population should be alert, especially when it concerns medication. We could joke with every other thing, but once it concerns medication well being held, we should take serious concern, because once we get our health damaged, there is no returning.
Definitely. And away from that paper, we move forward with this paper from Yaoundé, the Median of Stephen Ojon for this morning says, hero abroad, villain at home. Agbo Bala mounts the big stage in the United States of America after he was accorded a special award from the American Bar Association by the bar president himself, and this took place in the United States of America, Chicago to be precise.
Wow, it's beautiful to see, right? I like the caption of the paper.
Okay.
At home,
he's a villain.
Yeah. And abroad, he's celebrated this much. Now, first of all, congratulations to Agbo Kongo Bala, Felix Agbo Kongo, as he would legally be called, for his fight in terms of human rights advocacy in Cameroon for many years now.
Sure.
It's been yielding so much of results, especially at the Center for Human Rights democracy in Africa Chada. Now, to see that globally he's been acknowledged, it means his works, they are, if it's in church to say, he has been tested in the fire. So it's been proven that in as much as the difficulties, the challenges and all whatnot, Agbobala has been able to do justice in terms of doing advocacy for human rights in Cameroon. First off, congratulations to him and to his wonderful team, which he dedicates this award to. And to say that such awards just come to remind us of the stakes of human rights in our country. We need to work together, be it the government, be it other stakeholders, the armed separatists, and every other person needs to ensure that the rights of one another are respected. Because there's a popular saying, Larry, where your right ends, that's where another person's rights begin. So we must be able as Cameroonians to understand and to function with basic human right respect for one another, be it from the government side or from the armed separatists. I think Agbobala is doing a great work, and the stakeholders, I'll just call them stakeholders, need to ensure that such people are being preserved, because during his speech he highlighted the fact that the international community needs to continue being vigilant on the lives of human rights advocates like himself, else they might just wake up one morning and they are nowhere to be found because they have been picked by one of the sides of the conflict. So I think the international community needs to keep on preserving such stakeholders, ensuring that they are not being tampered with by the various stakeholders in this conflict, and as well, more importantly, that through their advocacy, life returns to normalcy in this part of the country which has been hard hit by a conflict 8 years running.
All right, still we remain with that publication of the media of Stephen Ojong. This one says, saying truth to power, Akaremuna tackles Adolf Mudiki over Glencore corruption affair.
This whole issue, I think it's featured on almost all the front pages this morning. Thumbs up to Akeremuna, who is dedicated and committed in the fight against corruption. And to see that he is doing a systematic approach, a follow-up, even to issues which we've just way past them and we think we're progressing, it's a whole lot. And I would want to say that Akeremuna has been doing a great job, and it's worth applauding. Akeremuna would really be putting himself in between great stakes, because to dare the powers that be to do what he's doing, definitely it takes a lot. And we only pray that he finds safety while bringing sanity, while bringing some aspect of consciousness among leaders and stakeholders in various sectors in Cameroon in terms of corruption.
All right, away from the media newspaper, we move on to the next publication for this morning. We will take you now to the paper of Jean-Pierre Mugu Belinga for today. That is the anecdote of Jean-Pierre Mugu Belinga reports on the uneasiness that reign in the Grand BAM, known as for short as Bamwis. The paper is focusing following this memorandum signed by some leading figures and sons and daughters of Grand BAM locality in the Fangbeti part of Cameroon, who calls for their own creation of region, more appointment from their sons and daughters into high-ranking position in the country. So, what do you make of this memorandum that was signed by leading figures in that part of the Fangbeti area of the nation?
I would think, Larry, basically might be their right in a way, as long as it doesn't tamper with the national integrity of Cameroon. People have a right to maybe desire for more representation in the government, the desire for more health amenities and the rest. Though we as well must understand that this might as well go together with population, because some of these areas, maybe they don't have the population which will match with these services and all of that. But I think basically people have the right to to ask for all of this, as long as it stays in the boundary of the national integrity of the nation. But to an extent as well, we must not forget the fact that this is not the sole catapult of development, having been made a region, blah, blah, blah. It's true, it has its own impact, but we must not forget that it is not solely. And sometimes, maybe, to an instance, we are better off together in the sense of the geographical, there might be some benefits which one area might be able to bear on the other and all of that, then going separate ways. Sometimes this is just purely politically motivated, and political front leaders ensure that they push this agenda without considering some of the economic impacts, without considering how feasible it will be, and without even considering the people at the grassroots. All what they're looking at is appointments, more appointments on them, because they are the front line leaders in the political sphere, and they're always the one who pick up the appointments. So it may not necessarily be for the interest of the general population, but just the selected few, those at the top, who want more money, who want more influence, and all of that. Nevertheless, people have a right to call upon the powers that be to maybe make them a division, a region, and all of that, as long as it doesn't tamper with the integrity of the state.
The nation of Cameroon is having 58 divisions, and now these people of the Grambam, because Grambam constitutes of 2 divisions. You have the Mbama Nugu division and the Mbama Mso division, if my memory doesn't fail me. So they want their own region, and we have other regions too who are calling for, other divisions too who are calling for their own region. I know of one in the northwest, what is the far northwest region, or in anticipation, headed by those from Kambe, those from Dunga Bantu division, and we equally have those from the southwest, known as the Greater Manu, that is Libya Leman Manu, who are calling for their own. I don't know. So if everybody is calling, here's a question: if everybody is calling for his or her own creation of region and appointments to be done at national level when it comes to key position, what becomes of the nation?
Right, Larry, like I said, this might not necessarily, unity is not necessarily uniformity.
Okay.
So I think the problem will come in when these people have extra motive in why they are asking these things. But if it is just for the development of their locality, I wouldn't say this won't bring development. It in one way or another will bring development, because we would have, if for example the town will become a regional capital, now there will be other regional delegations and all of that. There will be the inpouring of civil servants, and there will be the erecting of structures and all of that. So in maybe 10 years there will be massive transformation of the area, but that doesn't guarantee in any way total or sustainable development per se. But there will be development to an extent. Now I think if it is from that point of view, for the development of the people, maybe so that roads there'll be more tarred roads, there'll be an increase in farm to market roads, so that there'll be civilized, I don't want to use the word civilization, but there'll be a boost in development, such that the farms will be closer to the market as much as they will be closer to maybe industries of transformation and all of that. I think that will be good. But if it is purely from a perspective of just a political agenda where some few people want to keep on dividing, such that, because at the end of the day people feel that once they give us our own, we'll be able to do better. But if presently you cannot do much, what is the guarantee that when you'll be given a region you'll be able to do better? So I think sometimes we leave the issues and face the shadows. Development, it's true, it will come through this, but it's not a sole guarantee. So I think there is so much which comes into play, and we should be looking on how to develop our division at this level. What can we do to boost the development of our division? At least you already have a division. Even if it's a subdivision, there is still something which somehow you can do and we can see. Like I said, there are so many considerations which we must put in place before asking for all of this, which the government at least would have to put into place. Remember that it is as well financially straining. And
yeah, cost of governance.
Yeah.
And in a situation where the state coffers are being liquidated or siphoned or quite empty.
Coupled with the chaos, I'll just put
inflation
it
rising at the end of the day.
We have it in these two regions. You don't want another split. That will be causing for more trouble. So for the time being, so many of those considerations are being put into place. But while all of that is being worked, we must keep to mind the aspect of development. How do we develop our locality? How do we develop our towns as at the level of divisional capitals and the rest? We should start from there, because if we're able to handle little with much care, then much will be granted to us.
For sure. And we now take you to the town of Limbe with the son of Nobet Waso for this morning. Says reconstruction of northwest and southwest regions. PM Dion Guti renders plan more efficient, participatory. This is the caption of the paper of Nobet Waso for this morning. What do you make of this decree signed by Dion Guti over the weekend, calling or stipulating on the new participatory approach to the presidential reconstruction plan for the northwest and southwest regions?
This has been a story which it's been making rounds, and it's been much applauded, if you ask me, from the way people have been attacking or have been reacting to it. And if to say, basically, this decree in being practiced at the very basic level, that's at the level of the man on the streets, the woman maybe who goes to cocoa farming, Moyoka or somewhere in the southwest region, right into the interior. If this would make them participate effectively, like the paper sound, then I think it's, of course, a good initiative, because we've come a long way where development has been built top to bottom, such that the people at the bottom only receive the innovations, and sometimes these innovations might not correlate with their existing cultures, maybe even with their existing needs. But if we have a bottom to top approach, there would be cognizance of their identity, there would be cognizance of their integrity, some sort of, and what their needs actually are, and such that these can be provided for. Now, there's been so much of talk about the reconstruction plan, and steadily somehow we keep on hearing of it. It's amazing if actually we could see it physically being implemented. I know as well the political landscape is one which we can't say for a fact that the storm is over, because now and then we keep on hearing hits from across the southwest region, just like the northwest region. But nevertheless, the reconstruction plan has already been put into place, and I, just as much as you, can do nothing about it. But at least what we wish to see is that it should go on full spring, and the local population should be able to have a voice, such that these are not just projects which are being given, money is being wasted on needs or wants which are not needed, but the real needs of the population and the sustainability part of it is being put into cognizance, just like the culture of the people.
All right, but in a scenario where we see this set presidential reconstruction plan in the northwest and southwest region, structures have been erected, and at the end of the structures have been erected in the morning, in the evening we see the same structures being burned down by Anglophone separatists. What significance does this bring to the table? Recently, while I'm speaking, recently in Kumbu, the DIO's office was burned by this set non-state armed group in Bui division of the northwest, and in the video we could see and hear them claiming that kind of nasty attributions, and this structure that was recently built by this set presidential reconstruction plan for the northwest and southwest. So what's the essence of it now?
Larry,
with such reprisal
you see, there's been a lot of talk about are we really ready for a reconstruction? Is the conflict over? Are we post-Anglophone crisis already? And some stakeholders are of the point that this was just like what is called Samaliko by Agofron Kamba,
Bafia dance.
Bofron,
Bafia
Kamba.
dance.
Now, truth be told, the conflict is still raging. There's a lot which is happening. However, it's been a couple of years since the reconstruction has been introduced. That was, I guess, after the major national dialogue.
Sure.
But we know the way the government is, and they've decided that that they want to reconstruct. I don't know if today the conflict is over, but they've decided that they want to reconstruct. That's why when I was doing in the comment I made before your question, I said huge sums of money. The plans have already been made. Huge sums of money has already been disbursed. There is nothing you or I can do about that. So at least if the money has already been disbursed, I think it was wrong planning. Nevertheless, I think it was wrong planning. But now the money has already been put on the table. At least let something be done with it. And as well, this is a call for us, because we together form the community. In one way or another, maybe not today, but some years ago, we're the ones fanning the flames of destruction. Mudem bonam, until when they burn our own houses. And
Really, some of us didn't advocate for that.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, it's just rhetorical.
Yeah.
I did not myself, but so it's a call for us to, as communities, come back to rethink and to reconsider why are we doing what we are doing. At this point in time, should we still be destroying a lot? We put in a scenario where there is a lot which we're not receiving anymore, because these communities which are in the hardcore of the conflict, so many plans and programs which were introduced maybe prior to the coming of the conflict, these programs are not going on, and the money was already sent out, meaning the money is in someone's pocket somewhere. At the end of the day, these communities barely survive. And now they are in a very complex situation. Little or nothing is coming in, and what already is there is being destroyed. So it becomes very much problematic, and we're moving slowly from the frying pan into the fire.
Okay.
I think we just generally, as Cameroonians, we just need to rethink. We have issues, but we can always rethink and reconsider how we go about calling or asking for these issues to be resolved.
And to do better. All right. We move on to one of the burning issues in Cameroon, the Glencore corruption saga. The Swiss mining giant company Glencore, according to Le Jour newspaper for this morning of Aman Mana, Le Jour titles that as the Glencore affair. We won the names. That is the big caption of the paper Le Jour for today, as Aman Mana is shouting for the names of the Cameroonian expatriates in the gas and oil sector in the country will receive chunks of billion CFA francs from the Swiss mining giant Glencore, and this money was brought from Nigeria to Cameroon via a private jet.
Right. I think justice would maybe to an extent it will start when we know to an extent who are really those who did this, because now when there is a little covering, they can, Cameroonians have come a long way, which they no longer believe so many things, because they feel that as much as all of this has been, the long as time goes on and these names are not being told who is this and that, there could be some light changes based on some political objectives. Right. So I think the paper Le Jour today is in place.
Okay.
At least we should know these people have been called, and they are the ones which for social and for this or that crime. Now it's not taking them guilty already. At least they're still under investigation. But we know such that the investigation process can be carefully monitored and won't be done completely under the table, which we fear there could be some irregularities. So I think it's the cry of every Cameroonian. There's a lot of money involved in this case, and so at least we should know who is who, at least at the level of being accused. even not guilty, let's be at the level of being accused. Who are those who have been accused for having siphoned this money?
Okay, we are talking on corruption here. So, in a scenario where the British court in Westminster Abbey has put judgment or court hearing for the 10th of September 2024, this set year, and now we have an executive general manager of the Cameroon Hydrocarbon Company, SNH, Adolf Mudiki, who have been silenced ever since this eruption or this publication of the Glencore corruption scandal was being made known to the Cameroonian public by Barrister Akere Muna and the US and UK courts, who have been dormant and silent for quite some time, came out of the blue during the weekend to issue a communique stating how he and his entire SNH team will collaborate to bring the said suspects who actually took the chunks of billion CFA francs from the Swiss mining giant Glencore. Isn't this a deja vu scenario where it's quite dormant, it's quite regular in Cameroon?
You know, when the fire is very hot, people are their timing. They're trying to ensure that, because at the end of the day, if he doesn't say something, you would say
so, what is saying, pitching by my head.
Yeah, so he's trying to ensure that as the changes happen, he's versed with them and is able to make integrity for himself as much as for his corporation, such that there is hardly any murmurs among Cameroonians. But that as well, it doesn't completely. The objectivity in his statement might not completely be there. All the same, it's part of a public relations strategy to maybe bring some hope, bring some trust among the Cameroonian people. But I think we need to know more about this, and thank him very much for giving his assistance. But I think there is really much we want to know, and we have to know.
Okay. Away from that, we now move on to something different, this time around with Repair Newspaper. Repair Newspaper for today reports on 10 regional governors of the country who are living or who are functioning in illegality of the law. That is what you can find of the front page of Repair Newspaper, as they have all exceeded their term of office going by the governance law and text and other stipulation when it comes to this form of governance. What do you make of
Larry,
10 regional governors?
It's
not one or two.
It's a general problem. You see, it
just like we have 50 something general managers and board chairs who are still in office due to illegality of the law. Someone will be as general manager in a corporation, a parastatal for the past 31 years.
Right. So even in some of these commissions which are being created or councils, we have the law stipulating renewable ones, and sometimes it is renewed. And then they are now
4 years or 5 years.
Yeah, they then renewed now for till. I think it's not only a problem with the governors. This is just one case at the top which we're able to cite, and it's a call for concern, definitely, because we're looking at people who, most of them might already be on retirement. Should have been on retirement. I beg your pardon. Should have been on retirement. Okay.
For the governors, all
should have been on retirement. But then this this, of course, if you ask me, I think this whole issue at the end of the day, it stalls development, in the sense that we're having positions which other people should have occupied and facilitated development. We're having people who have already served the nation, and we are grateful for their service. We should go back to rest for new ideas to come in and reinvigorate the system, and they are still there, and they are living fat from state resources and all of that which has been put at their disposal. Now, it's thought-provoking. It's a real issue which we need to address, and address it urgently. And the next question will be, this keeps going on. Does this by any chance mean that does this by any chance mean that there is a problem at the far top? That's how I'll call it. Because if these people, their time is up, and I don't know sometimes if there is no replacement actually. Maybe other Cameroonians, maybe in the civil, in administration, we don't have administrators who are up to that class, who can be made governors.
they didn't have the first class that they had from Enam.
We don't have.
I think we don't have a first class.
Or maybe they've not been trusted officers yet. So we still have people who we can't really trust to award them that position, or they are too young, or what the problem really is, or is it that there are more pressing issues, or which are concerning the leadership at the far top, which this is not part of it. I think as well, now, it all boils down to Cameroonians. To an extent, we have the elections coming up, and to an extent, Cameroonians will be able to influence who should stay where and why. So if we actually, or many people are displeased, then they should be able to use their ballot boxes to either change, maintain, or do something for themselves.
And you need to see the way this set administrator glorify the president.
Of course, they're living on his kind of his mercies, and
the head of state have said this. Meanwhile, I don't think have their number.
they are one door out, and they're just now on some mercy kind of, and so they know with the least problem you can be kicked out through the door, because you first of all have to be on retirement for some of them 2-3 years now, and so that's been, imagine 2 years after retirement you're still in active service. That's a whole lot.
Of course.
Let's not talk about those who should have been on retirement and then they recycle through appointments and sent back into service, and they keep benefiting. So it's a scheme which is really problematic, and it doesn't only end with the governors, but it goes all around, and there is really need for concern. And I think Cameroonians are the far end to make the choices and to bring the changes.
Definitely, it's a back and forth issue that we are having out here. And away from that, we now move on to the Nigerian tabloids. We start off with the first Nigerian publication for today. That is Daily News Hub for this morning. It says, end bad governance protests in Nigeria. Protesters shun Tinubu's plea, re-strategize, mobilize to occupy the capital city of Abuja today. This follows the public or the televised broadcast of the head of state of Nigeria, Asiwaju Ahmed Bola Tinubu, where protesters say the address to the state was void of any tangible reason or measures to curb on bad governance that is occupying the mindset of Nigerians, as he didn't mention anything towards that regard on governance cost and carbon in Nigeria. So they are going to the 5th day of protest, and despite Tinubu calling for protesters to leave the streets of Nigeria, they still went on yesterday with the protest. And in certain parts and cities of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, we have seen a looting reprisal attack from office of officials of the forces of law and order. Journalists being attacked in the Federal Capital Territory of Abuja. What do you make of all the saga unfolding in next door Nigeria?
It's really, to me, it's not too new. We've known Nigeria for a lot of protests. Sometimes it even stopped their education for a couple of years, just protests and issues. Nevertheless, I think the president of Nigeria should be able to address the situation. Now, we're looking at someone who is unmoved, is unperturbed by all of this ranging reactions from the population of Nigeria. He's told them already, I've made my decisions.
Subsidy is gone and gone forever. That if you like, if you can protest from today till tomorrow, I don't care.
Cameroon cannot keep benefiting. I cannot keep
I'm paying for
helping other countries, and that's over. It's come to an end, and you could protest from now till further notice. There will be no changes.
Okay.
Now, I followed an interview of one who stood by Tinubu for doing his elections, and he still seemed unshaken. he said Tinubu was on path. Tinubu was on path. Now, the Nigerian public is one which is really unpredictable. That's why I started off by saying that new protests in Nigeria it's not new. We've had them. They've continually been issues from one government to another, from one government to another. Be it Goodluck, Abere Jonathan. Then we had Buhari.
The NSAS protest.
Right, and now we have Tinubu. So what is really the problem? Why does it seem like the majority of Nigerians who go out to vote, they vote
the wrong person.
And the next day they are like, no, this person isn't delivering.
Yeah, this is not what we signed up for.
Right, but I would as well say that we should not lose sight of the fact that transformation wouldn't just take place in an instant, in a go.
So right. You should give me time, according to
and I think rightly so. That's my own personal opinion of governance.
Let me come in. Give you time, and Tinubu keeps on increasing the numbers of cabinet ministers, because when Goodluck was there, we had a limited numbers of ministerial appointment. But now Tinubu has come and added, I think, 5 or 6 more. You can imagine. And at the end of the day, it's the GDP of Nigeria keeps on going down. Don't forget, when Goodluck was president of Nigeria, the Nigerian economy was the biggest in economy in Africa for the first time, where South African economy, Nigeria economy had to overtake that of South Africa, because South African economy has been the predominantly the biggest economy in the continent. But with us seeing the economy of Nigeria moving from glory to grass, and now we are seeing a worse scenario, hardship that the nation has never witnessed for ever since the creation of Nigeria.
Larry, don't you forget in a hurry. The issues of Nigeria are not particular to Nigeria. There is a global, everything globally,
but theirs is more precarious.
Is on the rise. Now, going back to Goodluck Jonathan, rightly so, but it will be unfair to compare these two eras.
Okay.
We're looking at post-COVID, and like it or not, so many issues today. We're having so many issues at the national and international front, unlike then. And of course, the president should be able to meet up to these stakes. Nevertheless, I think, based on the plan which Tinubu has explained, I'm not a supporter, neither am I an opposition. Like but I just feel that generally, in terms of governance, I think the Nigeria, it's 4 years.
Yes, and 4 years in office.
We're close to maybe a year or two gone down, and it would be funny if you ask me to say you just expected to see massive improvements in 2 years.
But he claimed to be the Messiah. Hold on, let me come. Tinubu paraded himself as a Messiah to revamp Nigeria, and he was accusing his former friend Buhari of destroying the nation. That I'm coming to bring the glorious days of Nigeria from the 1960s. So, but now we see from bad to worse.
Like I said, this whole issue is a process.
Okay.
Right? Maybe he took it from a political standpoint of view and trying to entice people. But you don't expect Nigeria to just wake up one morning and be fixed in 1 year.
Rwanda, we saw Rwanda just came out from the morning and it was fixed.
Now, you don't compare these two situations. First of all, the population, there are other factors that come into play externally as much as internally. So it might just happen, maybe you look at it as instantaneously, but there have been so many build blocks within and without, which caused that to take form. And now we're looking at so many people, diverse people in one country. The stakes are really high, Larry, and it would be unfair if you ask me, and that is my evaluation I will give to every other leader, irrespective of the country. It's just a general take which I hold, that 2 years to revamp a nation, to me, I think it's too small.
It's unrealistic.
Yeah, I think economically there has to be work. And maybe if our own we're 40 years down, at least we can now say this you are unable to deliver, because that's a whole hell lot of time which you've seen various faces, and we've seen you throughout various tackling various issues, and we can either say you're good or bad. But 2 years meeting the economy, especially at the time where we are in globally, there's so many issues. To say someone is, I think we should just give the person time. That's where I end.
All right. From the supporter of Tinubu's administration, that is what we can get. Away from that, let's move back to Cameroon with the Horizon. The Horizon newspaper for today says Junior Gombe passes police exam as he becomes a police inspector. Let me put this to you. We saw a scenario where a young TikToker guy who has been calling for massive voters registration and the end of bad governance for the past 42 years by the Bias-led administration. This said guy, his name, he was arrested and taken to the State Secretariat for Defense, he said, in Yaoundé. And later on, with the vibrant intervention of the iconic barrister at law, Barrister Keremuna, former batonnier of the Bar Council in Cameroon, he was released by the military tribunal in Yaoundé, and now his name is on the list of successful candidates of police inspector in Cameroon. How do you see that?
That's a difficult one.
Metamorphosis.
I think it's a difficult one. Now you're being put back into the issues to face the same people. It means you're not actually free. Yeah, because the police generals, if at all you show up, they are waiting for you. You were raising your voice. And then secondly, as well, sometimes that's just my own take. If you should go through the training, in life, we always put at 2 points in life, right, Larry? We put at the point where we're talking like what we're doing today, and then there'll be another time where we'll be put out there for other people to talk about us. We put in those positions somehow, anyhow, for people to evaluate us. Now, we've had so many Cameroonians, especially with the coming of multi-partism. There are so many of them now who are ministers. I wouldn't want to call their names.
I'm coming for them.
But who went about, the regime. And now 30 years down the lane, they are part of it. And they are saying, His Excellency, we thank the head of state. But these are the same people 30 years back with the introduction of multipartism. They came on with their political parties. They were so blunt behind the opposition, and they felt like it was the solution to all their problems. And now 30 years down the line, they have been melted into the system, and they are so much, and they've become part of what they were advocating again. So it will as well be a test, if at all this boy should finally take these exams and finally.
He has already passed.
Sorry, if he should accept to go through the training and become one, for him to be the change which he's been advocating for. Because believe you me, in as much as the higher stakes, which is from the far top, as I will call it, affects the way these people behave and operate, but basically people have power which has been given them at their own level to determine some things, and some people are just I won't say wicked, but they are just incompetent, and now they blame the system, which as a person they lack conscience, they lack that work ethic.
Okay.
But they would blame the system. So I think it's just a test for him, and as well, our eyes should be on him, if at all he should go into that training, because the stakes are high now.
All right. Some would see this Junior Gombe passing the police inspector exam as a way of silencing the said young man, and we have seen ministers, for instance, the minister delegate at the Ministry of Justice, Jean Didier Momo, who was quite against the regime, and later on when Paul took him and gave him the position of minister delegate at the Ministry of Justice, and one of our colleagues asked him, "You were against this regime, now you are singing hallelujah, hallelujah." He told him, he said, "A mouth that is." so that was the pronouncement according to Jean Didier Momo and a host others. We haven't forgotten about Issa Chiruma Bakari, who was quite vibrant against the Biya regime when he came from prison and later on went for asylum or exile in Nigeria, and later on when he came back and started singing a defense song.
Yeah, so you see that it's very tricky. It could as well be politically motivated as much as it could just be natural.
Okay.
Nevertheless, we are hoping to see if he should undertake the training. The expectations are high,
Okay.
and I hope he delivers up to it and doesn't do like the people he's been criticizing all this while. And as well, he's part of the new set of people who they call influencers and all the like. So they are key proponents, which of course will be very essential for the regime, because they are trying as well to incorporate the new generation into all that is unfolding. I think this guy has put himself at the front of the camera, and he should be able to deliver.
All right, and what they say in French, les choses à suivre. What next? So, with that Diongo-based story from the Horizon newspaper, this is where we'll draw the curtains of today's edition. And a big thank you to our reviewer for today, Chebuzi. Good morning. Thank you so much for being with us right up to the final moment where we'll be closing this Monday's edition.
It's a pleasure always to be on High Television with you, reviewing the papers, Larry, and it's a good day to all viewers of this esteemed television.
Thank you so much. And that's the much we could take for today. Catch us tomorrow, same time, same channel. Bye-bye.